Hi, I'm Jack Canfield, and I want to welcome you to our special bonus training video, Are You Hardwired to Fail? The truth about what's stopping you from succeeding. I've devoted the last 40 years to creating and sharing the best techniques I know for helping people succeed. I've co-authored the best-selling Chicken Soup for the Soul series, co-authored a book called The Success Principles, How to Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. I was a featured teacher in The Secret. I do trainings all over the world. And I'm here today with my friend and colleague, Pamela Bruner, who's created some pretty amazing success herself, growing her business from $375 a month to $1 million a year in only 2.5 years.
Thanks, Jack. I'm really happy to be here and share this very important information about success with you.
This is the first of 2 special videos we've put together to give you a solid foundation before our 3-hour live stream video class called Ultimate Success Live.
So what is stopping you? If you're like so many of our clients and students when they first come to us, you probably feel like you put in 110% of the effort and you get only 10% of the results. How would you like to reverse that? Today, Jack and I are going to talk about the science behind that situation so you know exactly what's stopping you.
Not only that, but also this is the first step to help you achieve all your goals and dreams. What Pamela and I reveal today will help you to get past whatever's holding you back from succeeding.
So if you've ever felt like you don't know what's stopping you, or like you know but you can't get past it, you're in for a real treat.
Now, during the past several decades, I've learned, perfected, and applied some of the most powerful success strategies ever developed. And what you're learning today is just the first step in something that is one of the most powerful methodologies we've ever found.
Shall we get started?
Yeah, let's do it. Think about this. Do you ever set goals and then find yourself not meeting them? Do you feel overwhelmed with everything you must do and decide every day? Do you wish you could make more money, but it seems like too much of a struggle? You're intelligent, you're educated, you're committed. So what's stopping you?
Chances are you don't know what's stopping you. Something's interfering with your success, right? But up till now, all you've known is that you just keep falling short of achieving your next big goal or of taking the next big step toward your ideal life. The good news is that we're going to give you the science behind what's blocking your success. So let's talk a little bit about how the brain works. You know how you can get a little nervous in a situation, say like an important meeting, and you feel like you said something really stupid, or you become very angry and you say something not really smart in the heat of the moment that you later wish you hadn't said. You know, I've done that.
Mine too.
The truth is, strong emotions interfere with the rational part of your brain.
When you're in the grip of strong emotions like nervousness or fear or anxiety or anger, the prefrontal cortex in your brain, the creative problem-solving part of your brain, it shuts down. You literally don't have all the intelligence, all the resource, and all the capabilities you should have. It's not your fault. You're not stupid. You simply don't have access to all your success skills in those moments.
Unfortunately, those moments of strong emotion come up most frequently when you're reaching for big goals and when you're trying to achieve success. I see it with people trying to grow a business, make more money, and further their careers. I see it with people trying to achieve optimal health and fitness or trying to get more from their relationships.
It's as though anytime you go for a goal and try to play big and get what you want, then those emotions come up. And you're working with only a fraction of your intelligence and skills. It's no wonder you're only getting a fraction of the results you expect.
Now, if that wasn't enough, there's the way the brain processes challenging emotional events like trauma. The way the human brain works, anytime you experience a trauma, everything in that instant, the sights, the sounds, the smells, and the way you feel, your feelings, are downloaded into your subconscious and marked with a trigger. It's as though there's a big sign on the memory saying, avoid anything like this in the future. This is why, for example, after a car accident, you may be nervous about getting in a car again. The thing is, the subconscious doesn't really distinguish between what we think of as traumas, like natural disasters or war or an accident, and lesser challenging emotional events. Here's an example. Let's say that in the 3rd grade, you were 8 years old and your teacher was talking in the front of the class and you interrupted to ask a question. The teacher yelled at you, "Be quiet and never interrupt me when I'm talking again." You feel terrified and humiliated. From then on, every time you're about to ask a question to someone in authority, that trigger is reactivated and you feel some of the same feelings of terror and humiliation.
And let's say when you were 14, you got up your courage and you told a boy or a girl that you liked them, and they laughed at you, and you felt rejected and unlovable. And you decided it's never safe to talk about how I feel, and no one will ever love me. Well, those challenging emotional events were downloaded into your subconscious as triggers, And your subconscious then tries to help you avoid any similar situation in the future. So you've got triggers saying, don't ask for anything, don't share the truth with anyone. That becomes a problem if you're trying to create success, both in business and in your personal life.
Yes, and there's an even bigger problem, Jack. What has been discovered about the way the brain works? Now, this is pretty cutting-edge neuroscience we're talking about. It's when a trigger of any kind is activated. In that moment that you are triggered, you have access to exactly the same mental and emotional resources, the same maturity level that you had at the time of the original event.
That's right. So if something activates a trigger that was created when you were 14, you're going to respond today like a 14-year-old. If something activates a trigger you experienced when you were 8 years old, you're responding with the emotional resources of an 8-year-old child. Imagine if you were getting on a plane and you discovered the pilot was only 8 years old. How would you feel? Well, many of us have an 8-year-old child piloting significant portions of our lives. Now, you may be thinking, what does this have to do with business or making more money or being more successful? Maybe you're saying, I don't have fear. I just don't like marketing or speaking up in meetings, or I'm just introverted or whatever. Or you might be thinking, I need to know what's blocking my success, but I don't have any of these old triggers.
Great point, Jack. You know, I love it when people say, oh, this doesn't apply to me. Our brains are all hardwired the same way. Think of these triggers like kryptonite for Superman. You don't usually see your own triggers. You only know you have them because there's currently struggle present in your life. Here's how it shows up in business. Maybe you're uncomfortable about speaking up in meetings, or you're uncomfortable at networking functions. Over and over, we see that there's an issue, an underlying emotion or trigger. Maybe that you've pushed away so you're not even aware of it, but it's still interfering with you showing up as smart and capable as you are. Whenever you try to talk to your boss, do you feel like a little kid wondering if you're going to be punished? That's going to interfere with your being powerful at work, and it may cost you business, promotions, money, or being able to move up the ladder of success. I know plenty of business owners, salespeople, network marketers who feel really uncomfortable around marketing, enrolling, and selling.
If you're experiencing stress or anxiety about money or the future, if you're feeling overwhelmed or if you're procrastinating, or if you feel irritation with your clients, your coworkers, your family members, that's an indicator that you have a trigger in there and you're being kept from being as successful as you could be. The other way to see if you have triggers is just to look at your results. If you're not able to get yourself to take action the way you know you should, or even worse, you are taking action but not getting the results you want, then that's a clear sign that you've got these emotions or triggers interfering with your success. So the thing is, even though as an adult you've gained a lot of experience and wisdom, which should give you the resources and the smarts to deal with any situation, you're not able to access them when you need them the most. And this really breaks my heart when I see so many people who've worked so hard on their personal development, their communication skills, their sales skills, achieving success, and then those skills desert you when you most need them because the way the brain is wired just to cut them off.
The thing is, those feelings are very real. They're legitimate. So we have two problems. One is strong emotion shutting down the creative problem-solving part of the brain. The other problem is these old triggers causing you to respond with far less skill and ability than you actually have. It's as though your success is right in front of you, 50 feet out, but there's this huge mountain range between you and your success. If the door to your success is just 20 feet away from you, but between you and the door you have a mile-high mountain to climb, that's a stopper. Most people think, and most motivational coaching teaches, if I can just work harder, I'll climb over this mountain and I can succeed. I can get past this. And with lots of hard work, maybe you can. But you're spending a lot of energy, and you're spending it all going up the mountain rather than over to your success. And it's a lot harder and takes a lot longer than you want it to. So if you're experiencing this, here's another scientific tidbit to keep in mind. Every hour you spend thinking about something doubles the number of neural connections in the brain for that thought. So every time you experience this challenging emotion, I'm uncomfortable doing this or I'm afraid of this, and you think about it for just a little while, it becomes more and more intense and powerful to you. Which means that over time, the mountains don't disappear. They actually get higher.
So you may be thinking this sounds exhausting or hopeless, or maybe even both. If these triggers are installed into your subconscious, how can you change them? And if every time you relive it or think about it, you add more neural connections to it in your brain, how do you ever escape it? The good news is there is a way to change it. Science has proven that you hold the power to change these neural connections. You can change the way that your brain responds to these thoughts and experiences.
And that's what we're going to share with you on our next video. The Power to Prosper, Realign Your Mind for Success. We're going to share a couple of case studies from our students, some real-life examples of people just like you who've harnessed the power to change their mental processes. So extraordinary success became so much faster and easier.
We'll tell you how you too can harness that power. It's something that you can learn to do yourself.
Thanks again for joining us today. We look forward to sharing more with you on bonus video number 2, The Power to Prosper, Realign Your Mind for Success.